Most important things first, I haven't been a YouTuber to this very moment, nor a prepper of some kind of doomsday propagandist. I just feel the need right now to prepare you and your families for what's to come in early 2020 and probably further on. This video is not about fear mongering, but to make you aware of the facts I got to learn these days about the upcoming coronavirus pandemic and how you can prepare yourself and your families in a cost efficient way. A pandemic simply means that a virus is spreading worldwide without any borders. At the time of making this video in early February 2020, many experts see the increased risk of this becoming a global crisis within a mortality rate similar to the Spanish flu from 1918 to 1920. Over 100 years ago, this pandemic took the lives of 5% of the global human population, which were 50 million out of 2 billion people. This means that 1 out of 20 died from this. Please just imagine for a second how you would feel if some of your close and loved ones would die from a flu. Let's say, for example, love and have contacts to around 100 people. This would translate to 5 deaths out of this community in the upcoming months to come. Just imagine the possible impact to you or your community if this happened. Though we cannot say for sure how bad this pandemic will be, it's better to prepare as fast as possible so you and your loved ones have an increased chance of surviving 2020 and beyond. We live in times where most people underestimate true dangers and wouldn't take my advice serious. But just think about that nobody living on this planet right now had a clear state of mind living through the times of the Spanish flu from over 100 years ago. It's hard to imagine how living through this pandemic was, but just to bring things into perspective, Haiti's earthquake in 2010 took 316,000 lives, and the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami in 2004 killed an estimated 230,000 people. Those events were very catastrophic and still in all of our minds, and they keep having a huge impact on the residents in those areas. While those tragedies killed a lot of people locally, the upcoming coronavirus pandemic will rage all over the world. If the experts are going to be right and this will become as bad as the Spanish flu, then 5% of the world population could potentially die in the not so distant future. In February 2020, we have around 7.8 billion people on Earth. If 5% died, this would be around 390 million victims from the coronavirus pandemic. This is Haiti's and Indian Ocean's earthquake combined times 714 and globally. But to calm things down, there might be a vaccine in the end of this year, which will probably decrease the total amount of deceased. So, now that we have a sense of the looming danger, let's get to the preparations. Taking into account that cities in China got closed down and nothing can enter or leave those cities, you need to have everything at home in case of emergency and probably stay there for a while. If your place is affected by a quarantine, isolated cities with millions inside is unknown territory. However, it's reality right now. We don't know how people will react when they run out of basic necessities. I'm sure the governments all over the world and nonprofit NGOs will put in their highest efforts to support essential goods to most critical areas. And while it's a romantic thought and possible that humanity as a whole comes closer together during the crisis and countries and people will give each other the shirt off their backs, you probably shouldn't count that much on this outcome with minds like America first. Nonetheless, you can set a good example and maybe bring our society finally to the next level. So, how long do you eventually need to be isolated at home in the worst case scenario? The longest and most harmful wave of the Spanish flu lasted about 6 weeks. Though we don't know future circumstances in your specific city, it's probably the best to have all the things you need to sustain your household for at least 6 weeks. With so many differences in every and each lifestyle, you should start calculating and writing down what you really need at home so that you don't have to go out for 6 weeks. You will need canned food, a big water supply, hygiene products, disinfectants, medication, first aid kits, and N95 protection masks for the case you need to go out. Please see the links in the description of this video. For further inspiration on what you could still need, please visit cdc.gov and search for Emergency Kit Checklist for Kids and Families. For the case you run out of something important while the crisis is around its peak, You will also need currency and money so you can trade for goods within your region. So, if you haven't already stacked up some cash, small units of silver and cryptocurrencies, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum, start right now. If someone in your household gets flu like symptoms, first separate the ill and the healthy and try to treat him at home as much as possible. Just when you feel that breathing gets harder or diarrhea kicks in, you should go visit your next hospital. But in most cases, you should be able to get rid of the infection on your own. The best thing you should be doing is taking care of your immune system, because the mortality rate of the coronavirus is highest with patients that were weak before getting infected. If you got anything from this video, please share this video, and I would highly appreciate if you could support us on Patreon and use the links in the description to stack up on your necessities. Much thanks. Wish you all the best.